Oh, yeah. Turn your phone off. No phone today, buddy.
No phone today.
Okay,
No
so do you
problems
have
today.
that phone?
I don't have it.
Oh, good. Wonderful.
Sometimes I have to have it.
Okay, I know.
Today's not one of
Just
those
put-
days.
Yeah, just put it on fire so that it doesn't disturb. I appreciate
We're ready whenever.
it. Okay, very good. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I will call the meeting to order at this point. If we will please stand and join for Pastor Stephen Lucas with the invocation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening, everyone. Been thinking about Daniel in the Bible lately. I don't know if you realize this or not, but Daniel was not just in the lion's den. That's the story we mostly know, but he was a leader in their nation, a nation that wasn't even his. And they tried to get him fired, tried to get him out of there. They said he did all these immoral things, which he didn't do. But Daniel was a man of faith. Daniel was a man of fairness, and Daniel was a man of integrity. Those are good qualifications for any leader. Wouldn't you agree? Let's pray to that end. Father, thank you that we can be here this evening. Lord, I pray for our commission that you would help them to be men and women of faith and fairness and integrity, and all of us for that matter, Lord, and help us to work together to take the time to listen to other people's opinion, but also, Lord, to know what is right and to stick with that. And so, Father, give them a good meeting tonight where you are in charge and guiding in every decision that is made. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, if you will please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Thank you. All right, we have no proclamations this evening. Tina, if you would please call the roll.
Mayor Young,
Present.
Vice Mayor Wilcox, Commissioner Greenlee,
Present.
Commissioner Murphy,
Present?
Commissioner Slattery.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. At this time, we will have Mrs. Betty Fisher for a presentation with the Atchison Farmers Market.
People are always too tall.
I understand, Betty.
I know you do. Good afternoon. Mayor Young suggested that the farmers market give you, the city commission, an update on where we have been and where we, the market, would like to progress. Some of you are new to the commission and even to Atchison, so I want to give you a brief history of the Atchison Farmers Market. In about 1996 or 97, a group of women observed that mostly loosely organized farmers markets were springing up all over the country. People were beginning to realize that they did not want produce picked days or weeks ahead and shipped for thousands of miles. And many farmers, especially at that time, needed supplemental or additional sources of income. This original group of women surveyed possible producers and buyers of local produce. They researched the local ordinance relating to farmers markets in Atchison and enlisted the cooperation of the city to develop our market. This group wrote bylaws, market rules, developed a board, and registered as a nonprofit with the Secretary of State. The market opened in the spring 1988 with about 8 vendors backing their trucks in under the Fifth Street Viaduct. The market continued to grow with more vendors, and through cooperation with the city, we became a recipient in part of the Star Bond that allowed for the building of the 2 pavilions on Main Street. Our Saturday market has a full roster of vendors with more on a waiting list. The Wednesday market is growing, and we're encouraging new vendor applicants to come on Wednesdays. In addition to produce growers, we have bakers, honey producers, plant sellers, and meat producers. We also have food trucks on both market days. For the past 4 years, we've been a 12-month market, first at the Chamber of Commerce and then at the YMCA. Due to more vendors wanting to sell at our winter market, we need more space. We will be at the Atchison Methodist Church beginning in November 2024. They invited us to share their space. We have a very loyal Atchison customers, but we also have customers from St. Joseph, Leavenworth, Topeka, and Kansas City. We've had a good relationship with Benedictine College and see a lot of students and their families at the market. For several years, we've had programs to help the members of the community, such as the Kansas Senior Farmers Nutrition Program, the Double Up Food Bucks program for SNAP users. But the market wants to expand its customer base and draw in more local and out-of-town customers. Therefore, we have embarked on a rebranding effort with support and we are working with Krista Rieger of Story Weaver Photography and Design Studio and local vendors. In the past, we've kind of grabbed onto little logos that have been on the internet, free logos, but we wanted one that was our own. Recently, the board met to review and update our market mission, create fresh, energetic image in our various types of advertising from our website, social media, and on-location branding. We believe that when the market attracts more customers, it will not only enhance the bottom line for our vendors, but we can also encourage residents to shop from local farms and generate economic activity to the entire region of Atchison County. We appreciate the support of the City of Atchison in the past and look forward to your continued support of the Atchison Farmers Market in the future. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Betty. That is a wonderful presentation. I've had the honor to know and work with Betty on another committee, and I know her passion for the Atchison Farmers Market. I have utilized the Farmers Market many, many times. It's wonderful, well-organized, and it's heartened and the fact that we have fresh fruits and vegetables. A long time ago, I worked in Washington, D.C. One of the areas I worked in was childhood obesity. And so markets such as our farmers market help with that in terms of fresh fruits and vegetables. They will tell you how to cook the fruits and vegetables, prepare them if you don't know how. But I would really encourage all of the citizens to really take advantage of the farmers market. So, Commissioners, do you have any other questions or comments?
We feel lucky to have you guys. Done a really good job of that.
We've been out in the garden for 26 years.
Guys, first.
So we have 21 vendors signed up for our Saturday market. 2 of them are food trucks. On Wednesday, we have 6 vendors signed up, but more will come as corn and tomatoes in, and we'll have a food truck.
Are all of them local, or do any of them come from Leavenworth or St. Joe?
Well, we have, in our guidelines, we have Atchison County and surrounding counties. So we have Leavenworth, Brown, Donovan, Jefferson, and Buchanan County, I think, that's just across the river. So we have vendors from most of those. Mm-hmm. And we require that produce vendors produce 90% of what they bring. There's no wholesaling at our market, and we reserve the right to go and look at what they are. And they have to have sales. Anything else?
Good sweet corn.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. All right, at this time, we will now have Travis Grossman, Atchison Event Center, the April 2024 monthly report.
Good evening. Glad to be here. You've got in front of you the financials from the month of April. On the back end of it as well, you can see that we've got, I tagged in the April activities so you can get an idea. April was kind of a slow month for us. Just no rhyme or reason to it necessarily. It's spring. We thought it would have been a little busier, but it wasn't. And then a few of the invoices of the business we did on April. If there's any questions about this, or you have any questions about what's going on, I'd love to answer them for you.
Sure, Travis. Any particular reason why it was a slow month in April? Do you have any idea?
I couldn't tell you. I do know in talking to, and I don't know that this is a telltale, but talking to our retailers down on our commercial corridor, that they've had a very slow start to their spring. So I don't know that that's, in general, if you look at a furniture store, you look at an antique store, you look at all those little stores we have down there, when they're all down, probably a cross-section of individuals maybe feeling the squeeze from inflation or just trying to get their heads, above water from a heavy Christmas spending, possibly, I don't know. But I do know this particular month, and you'll see it in the next month's report, did pick up. So we had a really, 2 events this weekend, big events, so that was a lot of fun.
I thought so. I thought there was at least one wedding.
It was, exactly. When a wedding that big, it seems like that's where everybody in town is.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Commissioners, any questions, comments for Mr. Grossman? Okay, all right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. All right, at this time, I would like to invite City Manager Amy Finch to present our consent agenda.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
you skipped over public forum.
Oh,
If you
I
wanna
sure
skip back to
did.
that.
I am so sorry. Please forgive me. We will now open for a public forum, and that is persons who wish to address the City Commission regarding items that are not on the agenda may do so at this time when called upon by the mayor. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, and I like to really stress this, 3 minutes, and should give their name and address when addressing the commission, and presentation is for informational purposes only. At this time, do we have anyone that is willing to address the city commission on agendas not on our agenda? Okay, if not, we will now invite City Manager Amy Finch.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. On your consent agenda this afternoon, you have the approval of the minutes of the May 6th, 2024 City Commission meeting, approval of the minutes of the May 9th, 2024 Special City Commission meeting, approval of an occupational license for the wine cellar, and approval of a tow service business license for Carter's Towing and Wrecker Service LLC.
All right. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments for Amy?
This tow service thing, is that they're going to operate another business?
Yes, and that'll put them in the rotation when the city
That was
calls.
going to be my next question. I'm sure glad to hear that.
Yeah,
Good deal. I think our consent agreements maybe getting a little, like things like that, I think maybe, should we look at them individually sometimes?
you are welcome at any time if you want to pull one off. Generally on
Yeah,
our
I'm good.
licenses and
Okay.
things, we,
Well, I move we approve it.
All right, it's been moved that we approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda as printed, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you, Amy. At this time, we're moving into new business, and we will have Julius Kuhn, block single source bid waiver. And, yes, Justin?
So I'll start and just say that Brett Wagner is here with Government Assistance Services, and he's forgotten more about CDBG than I ever knew. So I'll just cede the floor to him and let you talk through the next couple of agenda items on the CDBG commercial rehab project at 733 Commercial. Thank you. Okay with you?
Hi, Brett Wagner, Governmental Assistance Services. I've met most of you, but for those of you I haven't met yet, our company helps bridge the gap between funding sources and local governments. What we're helping the city of Atchison with today is the CDBG Commercial Rehab Project that's at the address listed on your agenda. That's a project where a building owner is qualified for a $250,000 grant to help him fix up the building with a minimum $83,000 match that he's provided in funds. The CDBG program goes directly through cities onto the business owner and of course then trickles down to the contractors involved. This project was bid once. The bids were very, very high. So the architect went back to the drawing board and kind of retooled the bid documents a little bit and allowed for a little smaller project. And we only had one bidder this time, which is not uncommon in this current environment. And CDBG requires that when we only have one bidder, that we proved that the project was advertised and that the architect and ourselves tried to put the word out. We did the required minority mailouts and other things like that. So we can verify that we've followed all of the steps, and what we're just asking for today is for the mayor to sign the letter requesting the waiver to allow us to award the contract to one bidder.
All right, very good. Commissioners, question?
How often does that happen where you only have bids on it?
I would say it used to not happen very often, but due to the appetite for some of these projects right now, it's happening quite a bit. I would say it's probably happening in about 1 out of 3 projects that we manage, and we manage, I think we have about 30 projects that are somewhere between application and completion phase right now, so it is happening quite a bit.
Okay, all right.
Is that because of all the paperwork involved? Is that what's?
Sometimes it is, yeah. Sometimes it's the amount of paperwork, which we go to these pre-bid meetings and we pledge to help these bidders as much as we possibly can. And we really do bend over backwards to make it easy for them. In fact, we complete some of the paperwork for them and just have them sign it just to help them out. A project of this size and maybe a little bit of a specialty, commercial rehabilitation on older buildings is not something that everybody wants to get involved in. So I think that's another factor that may have limited it too.
How many bidders did they have the first time? Do you remember?
One. It was a different bidder. Yeah, it was a different bidder, and it was only one. And so we actually had the city sign a sole source waiver at that time, and then the building owner just decided he couldn't put that much money into the building at this time.
Did we have a letter here? I can't see it right now. I was just reading this afternoon there for a minute where they said this had to be completed on time though. Is this the same project or am I missing my projects up?
We actually did get, I think that's at the end of your agenda in the communications. We did get an extension. We needed about 30 extra days to complete the bidding process, and we were able to do that.
But your completion date's going to have to be the same?
The completion date.
Apply for an extension on that too? Or?
I don't think we're going to have to because that's a year from now. So the schedule that was provided by the bidder is much tighter than that. I believe it's 90 days or even less than 90 days.
And you're satisfied with the bid, even though there was just one? Do you think that
Yes.
it's a fair bid?
Yes, because we have actually worked with this contractor in another community on a very similar project in the same program. So we're very confident, yes.
Okay, all right, very good. Any other comments, questions? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the bid award for Accessibility Solutions. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, what now? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm jumping ahead again. Recommended action to authorize the mayor to sign the CDBG Commercial Rehabilitation 23 CR001 with Julius Kahn Block Single Source Bid Waiver Request Letter. All right, okay, was there a motion?
I second.
Okay, moved, and is there a second? I'll second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the mayor will be authorized to sign the CDBG Commercial Rehabilitation. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And I believe, Mr. Kuhn, you are on number 2 as well.
Yes, so this is a related action item, and this would be to actually award the construction contract contingent on CDBG approval to this contractor, Accessibility Solutions LLC.
All right. Do we have any questions? Comments, concerns?
How much was the bid the last time?
I believe it was well over $700,000. So the scope of the project shrunk. It still fit within what we promised to do in the application, but it just doesn't fix as many things as we wanted to with this project.
Jamie, that's a big difference.
It is a very big difference.
I thought that was a bigger.
This is actually a little bit over what was originally budgeted, this contract right here.
What was originally budgeted?
I did not bring that with me, but it would have been, I think, in the neighborhood of $185,000, if I remember correctly,
Okay,
for construction.
okay.
Of course, there's architectural costs, grant administration costs, and other soft costs that are, as well as acquisition costs. But this actually fits much more closely with his construction budget
Okay.
than the first bid by a long shot.
Okay.
What did we take out, you know, what we took out?
Yeah, that'd be a question for the architect. I wish I could tell you, but I did not bring any of those materials with me. I know that there were some material alternates and there were different areas of the building that he decided not to address with this project. Keeping in mind that sometimes when you involve a federal agency and you try to do a lot of things to a building at one time, it can drive up those material prices and construction prices. So I believe he just took some of those things out or shrunk it down a little bit to try to fit within his budget. He still intends to spend money on the building, just not all at once.
All right. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Okay. If not, is there a motion to approve the bid award for Accessibility Solutions LLC for $209,560 for the Julius Kuhn Block CDBG Commercial Rehab Project?
I make such a motion.
Is there a second?
Second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this bid. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. And number 3, please.
I think that's it for me, right?
Okay.
It is.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. We'll now have Phil Burke, our building official, to discuss ordinance number 6708.
Good afternoon. What we have in front of us this evening, for years and years, they've always required a pressure test on gas systems that have been not active for at least a year. So we're talking vacated homes, vacant homes, that type of thing, commercial properties as well. For quite a while, the gas service thought it was in our code, and we thought it was in their code. Turns out it's in neither code. So we still do it today, and they've done it prior to my being here. I don't know for how long, but we thought it would be a great time to codify it to where it's in our code. The gas service knows it's in our code. They're in full support of it still being in practice. So basically, if something's without a gas meter for a year or an inactive gas meter for a year or more, we would require a licensed plumbing contractor would take out a permit, pressurize the gas system, notify us that it's pressurized and has been for at least 15 minutes. We go out and check to make sure it hasn't dropped, that every appliance that's connected to the fuel gas system is vented properly. Then we approve it, turn it into the gas company. They do an additional, what they call a shut-in test, much lower pressures, but it's really getting tested twice, but at much different pressures. These pressures are what we usually require on new gas systems. So that's what you have before you.
All right.
I have a question. We want everything to be as safe as possible, but if they're doing their tests as well, they do a test. Am I correct? Do I understand?
They do what they call a shut-in test. It's twice the delivery pressure that I believe that they normally apply. That's in ounces.
Because I was thinking if someone was doing something to a house, they're going to have to hire a licensed plumber, and that just seems like it would add to the cost. If the gas company's already doing an inspection, I would think that they would feel highly liable if there was something wrong. To me, I'm just throwing that out because we need to make things less expensive, and especially if the gas company is going to do the testing. And I know it's okay, maybe not high as pressure, but I'm just wondering if this isn't like a repeat of a. Am I by myself thinking that way?
Well, I'm thinking the same kind of thing. Why don't we have the gas company, I'll feel out of trouble here. Why don't we have the gas company check this and maybe even a higher pressure, just make it where that's what we want them to do.
We're not in charge of the gas companies.
Well, but I mean, we are kind of, because they operate under our utility rights. And they run a check. I think we could lay this off on the gas company and save the people the money and the cost of hiring a plumber to do it. It's a pretty simple test.
Bill, when you were in conversations with Kansas Gas Service, did they?
They
say-
fully support keeping this in play.
Okay.
They still
It's-
require it. They
And
even-
it's a practice that's been in place for quite some time, it's just not codified in our regulations, is that correct?
I don't know how long they've been doing it. I think
I think it's a wonderful idea to run a pressure test.
I'm
I think
not
it's
against the
great.
pressure test.
It
I'm
would be
just worried
much
about-
more dangerous and expensive if something went wrong, you know. And remember, these are only on the meters that have been inactive or not in place for a year or more.
Right.
And is this consistent with other city ordinances in other areas? I would assume
Very
that it
much so.
is.
It's
Okay.
much like Evergy. Evergy requires us to inspect the meter base and service equipment if it's been out of service for a year. And they kind of rely on us to help provide safety for the meter people.
Okay.
Bill,
The gas company told me here a while back that the city required it. That's why they did it.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. I just think that they're doing it. I just don't see why we need to have the expense, because I've had to do this on several houses. I've had to go get a plumber, pay $150 to run an air check, that as far as I'm concerned, if you can walk and chew gum, you can run an air check. And the gas company can sure run an air check. They can do it. I don't see why we need to have the expense of having a plumber come subsidize that. It just looks to me like, I fully support an air check. I've found houses of my own that had issues because we ran an air check. I think it's great, but having to hire a plumber to do it when the gas company can easily do it when they come to hook the gas meter,
And
they do it.
here's a question. Can we request the gas company to run a higher pressure test than they currently run? I
bet they do it.
I'm
That I don't know. I don't.
because it does seem,
There's a lot more layers to the gas company than there is to this.
Okay.
we're not experts by any sense, but it does seem like overkill.
this did come up as a recommendation from the Building Code Review Committee, so please keep that in mind as well. We ask,
So the plumbers recommended it.
I believe there's,
The gas company recommended it.
Yeah.
Okay, the gas company
They
recommended
recommended
it.
that we continue.
That we continue
and
this practice.
codify it, yeah.
But I still think we could have them check it and call it.
Okay. And then the Board of Building Code, as Amy said, met on May 2nd and voiced unanimous approval. So I honestly think that it's a good idea for us to have this in our code. I don't know if, Commissioners, anyone else have a comment or a question for Mr. Burke?
I just think the gas company inspecting it is good enough.
Do we feel that we are ready to move on this item, or do we feel we need to table this item until our next commission meeting? And Mr. Burke, if we move to table this item, is that going to cause a challenge for you or for our ordinance? And
I'm going to
then-
continue to require it.
Okay. And then, Mr. Campbell, if we do not move on this particular item tonight, will we have any legal consequences at this point? Liability?
Oh, we're still going to require it.
Okay.
They could just refuse it.
I don't know why anybody would.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I feel confident that we should definitely vote to approve this, but I'm just one member voting. But, so I will move that we do adopt this ordinance number 6708, adding a new section, 36 through 45, to the municipal code. Is there a second?
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded, and this is a roll call vote. Tina, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Slattery,
No.
Mayor Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
No.
Thank you.
All right.
I think we ought to look at this, see if we can get the gas company, because I really think this thing needs to be done. I think we need to see if we can't get the gas company to do it. Talk to them, see if we can't. I'd be willing to.
Okay.
I just think the gas company, I think they would do that. That was my impression talking to them. But I think we need to stay on top of this. I think it's a really good idea to check these gas things. I just think it's I think maybe we ought to be doing it more than just vacant houses. I really do.
Okay. All right. Okay. There we have it. Thank you, Mr. Burke. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Next, sorry, Phil, you're still up here. Hopefully this is a little
Gotta
bit
be somewhere.
smoother. All right. Number 4, conditional use permit.
The next item, we had a conditional use permit that was approved by the Planning Commission for a home occupation at 310 North 9th Street for an ethical foot and body massage location. They'd previously been located downtown, had some issues with the building and the lease situation, so they're both here tonight. So if you have questions of what kind of the business end of it, but the conditional use was approved by the Planning Commission. I'm just here tonight to get the final approval.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, comments, questions?
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Just one question. I think I saw in here, you do have a time constraint and a target date as to when you will be operating, not out of your residence, but at another location?
As soon as we get the problem resolved with our landlord, got 9 months place. We don't want to do this. I'm guessing maybe
Was the place that you're currently leasing, is it not functionable, or?
we have black mold. Problems with it. Operate.
This runs for 1 year and it's got to be renewed, right? Is that the understanding?
I believe this one was 6 months, and then if it needed to be longer, it would just go before the Planning Commission again. Yeah.
I've got a question for Phil. In the event that a place has black mold, is there anything in city ordinances or codes that prohibits them from renting, leasing, or without mitigating the black mold?
Obviously, it takes a test to prove that it's black mold, and I think you guys had a test ran on the property. It's kind of tricky. It usually gets into a legal matter, breaking the lease or that type of thing. We've run across it quite a bit or sometimes in residential, and that kind of goes back to the same thing. They either abate it or the people part ways and that type of thing. Yeah, it's kind of an in-between slope thing. It's really difficult to, kind of two ends to it. Should it be removed? Sure. Do we have a legal right to ask them to remove it? That's questionable. But it definitely usually ends in the parting of ways of the tenant and the landlord.
But we don't have any legal right to request them to take care of it? Oh, okay.
We found that there's no governmental agency.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns, comments? Okay. If not, is there a motion to, I'm sorry. Oh, I apologize, ma'am. Go right ahead. Okay, yes, please, ma'am.
I'm from China. My name is Well, before I China work acupuncture. I want to stay here, give this tongue, these people, neck, shoulder is tight, is hurts. I give this. I want to hope everybody, this I write this commercial 731 this commercial this house. This have black mold. Customer talk to me. Customer want me pay money. I cough, have blood. No, somebody help me. My husband, the phone, this government, help me, say no help me. I don't know why. I pay 2 years money. Now I use it 1 year. Let me no give me money. I go to hospital, check my body. My body no good. Plus black mold. My body have cancer. I'm scared. My mother in China 81 years. I never go to China. My husband never could tell me. I don't want to early die. I don't want to have cancer.
Okay.
No, somebody help me. American.
Okay, I understand. It's very, very upsetting, and I understand. And, yeah.
I sell customer gift, I don't want to lie. I want the customer important. I don't want the customer body no good, so I move at home,
We certainly understand that, and we are very concerned, and I certainly understand your upsetness.
Somebody help me,
Yes, I certainly understand. All right, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, commissioners, are we ready? Okay, yes, do I have a motion?
I would make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit.
Okay, very good.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission for home occupation. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Right. It's been approved, ma'am. It's been approved. All right, you're welcome. All right. Next, we will have city manager. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Everybody comes at home, I give you free for massage.
That's okay, ma'am. Okay, we understand. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye-bye. All right, next we will have City Manager Amy Finch with resolution number 3389.
All right. Item number 5, resolution number 3389 is to update our designated authorized signatories on the bank account, and we're doing this in preparation for the changeover on my last day to the interim city manager. It does take our software company a couple of weeks to make that change in our system, and then they work with us, so it's applied on our checks. So with your approval, we are asking to authorize the interim city manager and the finance director to be the signatories on the bank accounts, and then the chief of police is also designated on the police bank accounts, and that's covered in this as well. Okay. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
How much of a check is this cover? What's the amount?
These are, well, the signatures don't cover an amount. We are authorized by position, so the city manager has a $25,000 spending authority, finance director is $10,000, and department heads are $5,000. So anything over $25,000 comes before the city commission, and then if it's over 5 or 10, usually your city manager is approving those before they're paid. Or issued, I guess, or they're issued.
All right, okay. Any other questions? Concerns? Mr. Slatter?
At 25,000 sure seems like a lot. I think we ought to look at something over 10 at some point. This might not be the time to do it.
Right.
It would be a different matter to consider.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of those, but
Yeah, I
I think that is set in our comprehensive financial
Yeah, it looked like it was.
policies. So there are certain things that we have to make sure a certain number of bids are acquired, even if it's within our individual spending authorities.
Okay. All right, commissioners, are we ready to entertain a motion? I'm ready to entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 3389.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
Very good. It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 3389. It is a roll call vote. Tina? could
Mayor
you
Young?
please? Yes.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Slattery.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will have Justin Prejean presenting tax credit sale agreement with Union State Bank of Everest.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A little background on this. Long before I knew what historic tax credits were, which is funny now because I do them all the time and consider myself pretty proficient with them. But back in 2014, when I was barely a new employee with the city, there was a project at the Santa Fe Depot, a re-roofing project. Because the Santa Fe Depot is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, that re-roofing project was submitted to the state for state historic tax credits. At the time, that would have been a 25% credit on what are called qualified rehabilitation expenses. The project was somewhere in the neighborhood of $39,000, and so that tax credit certificate was $11,600, something in that neighborhood. I don't have that exactly in front of me. Since the city does not have a state of Kansas income tax liability as a local government, the only way to get any value from that certificate is to sell it. Well, one way, another, I'm not sure what the entire story is, but that never happened. And so the certificate sat on a shelf and was never used. And so a few months ago, it came up at a staff meeting, and the dots were finally connected. And so Clinton did some of the paperwork to file the Part 3 and get the tax credit certificate issued. The work was done. The credit certificate was never actually issued. So the certificate has now been issued. I'm adept, fairly regularly sell these things. And so knowing that banks are most often the buyers of these, and knowing that Bank of Atchison has previously been a buyer of various tax credit programs that I've participated in, not necessarily historic tax credits, but I could give you a couple of examples. Anyway, I approached Union State Bank and asked them if they'd be willing to acquire it. It's a relatively small certificate, $11,000. I know it seems like a big number, but 90 cents on the dollar for a quite small tax certificate is, quite frankly, it's hardly worth the time that their staff is going to have to do the paperwork to be able to use it. I think they're doing it as a favor to us. On the transactions that I usually participate in, where these numbers are, do a several $1 million renovation of a building, you can do the math and figure out the size of those certificates. The transaction rate is usually in the low 90s anyway, 91, 92. On one occasion, I've seen 93. So for a certificate of this size, 90 cents on the dollar is quite fair. We're also kind of up against a deadline because these certificates expire after the 10th year. So we kind of had a short window to be able to do this. Is it theoretically possible that we could have found somebody to pay more? Perhaps, but again, for the size of the certificate and a difference of a few $100s, I thought that approaching someone I know would be interested, and in the interest of time, that's the way I chose to go about doing it. So it's here in front of you. What's required is what's called a tax credit purchase agreement, TCPA. Once we have that signed, I can get back with Stacy at Bank of Atchison and we can get the $10,200 or whatever the exact number is back to the city after selling the certificate. So I can answer any questions you have about that process and how I chose to go about doing it. Happy to answer anything.
Any questions or concerns?
So it's been sitting there for 8 years?
Yes. Actually, I shouldn't say the certificate's been sitting there. The work was completed.
Yeah.
And the certificate was never applied for on the back
Sure.
end. And I don't know who, I was, like I said, in 2014, I didn't know what historic tax credits were.
That's more than the sales tax rate though, isn't it? Would be, wouldn't it?
So here's how a historic tax credit project works. If you're on the registry and you follow their programs and do all the applications and get all the approvals beforehand, you spend $39,000 on a project. state of Kansas will issue you a tax credit certificate. At the time, it was 25%. Now, in towns of Atchison size, it's 30%.
Really?
Now, if you do that as a for-profit entity and you sell that tax credit, the proceeds of that sale are federally taxable. So we can keep digging into the complexity of this all day if you want.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but nonprofits don't have any sales tax liability. If this was a for-profit company, had a $10,000 certificate, they would just use it themselves, even if it took a couple of years. But cities, nonprofits really don't have any way to monetize this but to sell it.
We need to vote on this.
We do. Do you feel?
Motion, I meant.
Yeah, motion, yes.
I so
Do
moved.
you do? Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we authorize the city manager to sign the tax credit purchase agreement. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Justin, and I believe you have item number 7 as well.
I do.
Resolution number 3390.
So you all fairly recently remember that the MGP Economic Development Exemption matter was back in front of you because of a clerical error of a listing of one thing needed to be adjusted. As Gilmore and Bell was going about closing out the file for that economic development exemption that was granted to them, I believe that would have been last year, they were doing their final checklist and realized that the city of Atchison does not have a formally adopted economic development exemption policy, which is part of what they recommend that we do. So attached to this item is a policy that asks for things such as a cost-benefit analysis, which Gilmore and Bell completes as a part of this process, but apparently we're supposed to have that policy adopted. There's a resolution that adopts that policy. Cost-benefit analysis contemplates looking at things like number of jobs created, wages, things like that. And so I'm just standing here to recommend that Gilmore and Bell, who is our hired bond counsel, recommends that that we have this as a part of the city's policy documents.
In other words, it's just a paper chase.
It's a paper chase. I think that's a fair way to put it. And this is the only economic development exemption that I've been a part of. I've been around the city for 10 years, and this is the only one that I'm aware of. Most other folks, and it's also only for manufacturing and heavy industrial uses, research and development type stuff, so it's very rare that a community of Atchison size has an opportunity to even use this legislation. Most of the time, we're doing similar things with either industrial revenue bonds or more commonly, the Neighborhood Revitalization Program, which is a by right property tax exemption rebate, I should say, a by right property tax rebate for somebody who's adding a room onto their house or those smaller scale projects. So again, Gilmore and Bell recommends this policy be adopted. We will likely not use it again anytime soon, but it's good to have it on the books, and they're our bond counsel for a reason.
Any questions? Concerns? Okay. If not, I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 3390.
I so move.
All right, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second it.
All right. And this is a roll call vote. Tina?
Commissioner Greenlee,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Slattery,
Yes.
Mayor Young.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, we will have communications presented by City Manager Amy Finch.
All right, in your packets, you have the April 2024 financials to review. And then, we mentioned this earlier, but there is the letter that is for the bid time extension on the 733 commercial project that we included in your communications.
Okay. All right. Any questions for our city manager? Concerns? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we do not have informational items. So next we will have governing body comments. Commissioner Greenlee. Any comments?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Commissioner Slattery.
Did we get our problem out here on this highway? So,
I
that
didn't-
is just
well,
about,
Okay, I didn't get a chance to talk to you last week, but
Yeah, that was my fault.
our Public Works Director has put out several updates on our social media. So as soon as they're done on the, southbound lanes,
you're gonna switch over and,
they'll come, yes, but we got to
what
wait till those
happened to
are.
cause that?
So, in anticipation of only being able to use the northbound lanes for north-south traffic, we knew we had potholes that people, prior to this, had the luxury of scooting over to the inside lane to avoid. These are potholes that we patch, and then within months, they're back, because there's deeper issues. So we went in with the intent to do the superficial patching, just enough to get through this project. When they started milling out, they noticed that the concrete was deteriorated pretty badly, even said there was a void underneath of it. And so they started digging a little bit, and it ended up becoming more of an issue than we were ready to deal with. And so the solution that they came up with was to use flowable fill. That's not concrete that you see in the past. It's
I
flowable
wondered if that was something different.
and basically ran out of time to mill that down to put an asphalt cap
Can't you
on.
level it just like cement?
I don't know how they chose to do that, or what the material was like to work with when they were doing it, but the intent is to get back on it as soon as possible, mill it down a couple inches and put asphalt back.
I'll tell you, we caught a lot of hell on the CB radios, the truckers over
I
that.
bet.
You know, what the heck this city doing, putting a speed bump in?
Okay. Any other comments?
Who was in charge of that project?
It's the street division of Public Works.
Who's the person that was the boss there on that job?
The street superintendent is Jeremiah Barnes.
Who?
Jeremiah Barnes.
Barnes?
Barnes.
Barnes, okay. Okay.
All right, Commissioner Murphy?
Well, I have no governing information, but I'm a grandpa.
Congratulations.
I'm had to wait till I was 70 years old to do it. But everybody's healthy. So I know that's not the place to probably say it, but it's public now.
It's public, that's great. Well, congratulations, Commissioner. All right, anything else?
No.
There's
No.
nothing else that's...
What else could go on?
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes that road going south of town pretty smooth for me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, thank you. I just want to congratulate all of our graduates, high school and college. Commissioner Greenlee has a granddaughter who graduated from BC, so congratulations to Ms. Kendall Ross. We
Thank you.
appreciate that. And then my daughter Ashton Young graduated from Moorhill Mount Academy, and would like to extend congratulations to all of the graduates there at Moorhill Mount Academy, President Trotter, et cetera. And then, of course, to our Atchison High School, the Phoenix, to congratulate all of their graduates as well. So with that, if no one else has any other
Well, I had two
questions?
graduates that we're gonna
Well,
brag about.
well, absolutely. Well,
Oh, my
please,
gosh.
please do.
One of them's even cum laude. I think I must have married well. That's the only.
I think you did. I think you did, Commissioner. I did.
Yeah, I'm really proud of them. They both did a great job. One of them in engineering and one of them in nursing.
Fantastic. At what colleges?
Washburn and KU.
Wonderful. Well, rock chalk, because I'm
And
a
high school,
Jayhawk.
too.
All right.
Pretty deep bench, that one.
All right, thank you. With that, if there isn't anything else, we are ready to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Amy.
Congratulations.
That makes it-